The Truth in Lending Act is a statute that requires creditors to disclose key terms and costs to consumers for credit transactions, for example, a mortgage loan, through statements and fair advertising practices. TILA, which is the acronym for the Truth in Lending Act, is part of the Federal Consumer Credit Protection Act. TILA is intended to ensure that credit terms are disclosed in a meaningful way so consumers can compare credit terms more readily and knowledgeably. Before its enactment, consumers were faced with a bewildering array of credit terms and rates. It was difficult to compare loans because they were seldom presented in the same format. Now, all creditors must use the same credit terminology and expressions of rates. In addition to providing a uniform system for disclosures, the Act also protects consumers against inaccurate and unfair credit billing and credit card practices. It provides consumers with rescission rights. It provides rate caps on certain dwelling-secured loans. It imposes limitations on home equity lines of credit and certain closed-end home mortgages, and delineates and prohibits unfair or deceptive mortgage lending practices. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, is responsible for administrating the rules of TILA. However, specific enforcement of the law is delegated to the federal banking agencies depending on the type of loan, as well as the entity that offered the loan. For example, when a loan is offered by an FDIC-insured depository bank, the enforcement of TILA falls to the FDIC. When a federal banking agency is not granted enforcement duties, then the responsibility of enforcing TILA falls to the Federal Trade Commission. In the past, homebuyers were usually restricted to traditional 30-year fixed-rate loan products with very few alternative options for financing. Nowadays, though, variations in terms, duration, and interest rates have increased the number of mortgage choices available to consumers, sometimes making it difficult for consumers to distinguish the differences in terms from creditor to creditor. In this modern, diverse mortgage loan market, the disclosures required by TILA are essential to a homebuyer's success. The idea is that hopefully consumers will be more informed when shopping for loans and better able to avoid unfair lending practices. The Truth in Lending Act, also known as Regulation Z, the Truth in Lending Act is also known as Regulation Z. However, Regulation Z was adopted to expand, clarify, and implement the statute. In fact, many of the major regulations are referred to not only by the regulation letter, but also by the common name. So you will need to make an effort to remember both the name of the law as well as the regulation letter. Regulation Z applies to each individual or business that offers or extends consumer credit if the following 4 conditions are met. 1. The credit is offered to consumers. 2. The credit is offered on a regular basis. 3. The credit is subject to a finance charge, for example, interest, or must be paid in more than 4 installments according to a written agreement. And 4. The credit is primarily for personal, family, or household purposes. If credit is extended for business, commercial, agricultural, or organization credit, then Regulation Z does not apply.